Somehow traditionally, HR heads have felt that they are the ones who care about people and the CEOs are the ones who don't care about people. That's not true. India can create world-class global companies. The problem is not in the HRMS.
And I want to introduce you to Peyush outside of work. He's passionate about running marathons. He's from Don Bosco School in Delhi. He's from IIM Bangalore. He's also the Chief People Officer of Lenskart, and by the way, has a valuation which resembles a phone number. And I genuinely want to tell you all one thing about Peyush, that he's one individual who walks the talk, right? You should know what he's like after investing as opposed to people who just invest and are notional investors. He's extremely hands-on. He's been a user, a customer for the last 5 years. And he's one of the only CEOs of our 225 customers who is directly hands-on involved as a CEO, co-owning the culture KPI. So he walks the talk and he's admirable. Okay, so now that we set context, I want to ask the most obvious question to you, Peyush.
Yes.
You're surrounded by money, right? Shark Tank is all about money. You're way beyond a unicorn.
This was not in the script.
How do you keep yourself so grounded?
I think it's the culture, right? Isn't this whole... that's what HR people want to hear.
How do you keep yourself so purpose-driven, so grounded, and not
I think
get
if you
distracted?
set the benchmarks, what you want to do to be very, very high, then it's just, when you look at things from that perspective, it is easy to stay grounded because you still know that while for the world you may have traveled quite a lot, but from the benchmark it's still quite far. I also think that all glory is fleeting, and we spoke about it earlier right now, and the only thing we can do is keep working.
I've known you for 5 years. You've had a journey with HR heads. What is something that CHRO's HR does not understand when it comes to the CEO perspective? And I think the entire room wants to hear an answer on this.
That they both want the same thing. Their ways of achieving it could be different in some ways, but I think they should just sit on a coffee with each other and start knowing what is it that you want and what is it that they want, and I think they'll both write on a closed sheet and their answers will be the same. That exercise needs to happen. Eventually, all organizations want to perform. And for organization to perform, people need to perform. Both are same. Right? So, somehow traditionally, HR heads have felt that they are the ones who care about people and the CEOs are the ones who don't care about people. That's not true. The only thing is the CEO is also thinking about that we should exist tomorrow to care about people. If I cracked search and everybody in the world was searching on my platform, then I can give free food, right? But if I don't even survive, then, don't talk to me about free food.
That was a nice jab on Google. Let's talk about good CHROs for a moment. What is it that CEOs don't understand about good CHROs?
That the problem is not in the HRMS.
That was... Okay. Oh, that was a good one. All right, let's jump to the topic now. So we've been speaking about... So I want to ask you a tough question, right? Because being a founder, I know the last thing I want is take on more. right? So what was your trigger point to actually decide to be the CHRO yourself?
So, it was becoming clear to me that companies like Amazon, Google, Netflix, which have gone really global sustainably for decades, even Cisco's of the world, etc., and Levers, for example, the only reason why they have been able to do it is because they got the people game right in terms of culture, in terms of talent acquisition, in terms of performance management, and in terms of how to transition all the good that has been established in one geography to the others. Right? And if you look at each one of these companies, not one of them is same as the other. So it's not like you can ask someone to just copy and paste. You need to peel the layers of what is working and preserve it and translate it forward and then figure out what is needed more. So this is not an easy job, right? And because it was the only possibility that we could come in that 1%, I thought that, this is worth doing,
Okay.
right? And it's been phenomenal because I finally have gotten to understand a lot of things my ex-HR heads used to talk to me about. So to me, if I can crack this, and I'm still learning and making mistakes, then we are sorted. Then everyone.
That's genuinely inspiring. We've been speaking about a winning culture. So how do you define culture at Lenskart? And I know your value system, right? But how does it translate in Lenskart? What is culture for you?
I think it is how you take decisions every day. Now, as organization grows, I think you can't take all decisions. And so you need a culture which will guide people to take decisions. But eventually you want to get to a stage where people can take decisions which would let the organization propel further and do what it is, its purpose is. And so culture actually subconsciously is letting you take decisions, and so it's powerful, it's important, and I think if you can get that right, it's the only way to scale it forward. I'll give you some examples. We have this brand called John Jacobs, right? And it is somewhat a premium luxury brand. They used to sit in the same office, and Lenskart is a platform brand and this is a product brand. And they want to be the affordable Louis Vuitton. And I always used to have an argument with my CFO that let's move them to a different office, one floor down. And every time my CFO would say, but we have half the office vacant. So why not just use the same space? And then we literally fought and we moved them to an office which had a branding of John Jacobs, different colors, and people would come feeling like they're working for John Jacobs. And they had their own culture, and let them do what they have to do because it will evolve on its own. Now, this is a simple cultural intervention which you can do, but reality is that if you see so many companies, they try to create brands, but they end up being labels. John Jacobs this year will be like a 800 crore brand, right? And it sells more than Ray-Ban in India. And I think the success of it owes to a cultural intervention.
What I've observed is that 76% of leaders are burnt out. And this is leaders, entrepreneurs, founders. And even worse, we spoke to Ariana Huffington recently, and we found out that 98% HR people are burnt out. You're both an HR person and a CEO. So do you experience burnout, and what's your journey been with just burnout, and what's that journey been like?
Now, having been on this entrepreneurship journey for over 12 years, maybe the first 2 years I would say that there's a burnout. But right now, I won't call it a burnout. I think I have at least gotten used to enjoying what I'm doing. I think it's if you do things that you enjoy to do, I think the burnout is only a matter of time.
I think that's so well said because Piyush, I remember discussing this with someone that stress and burnout are not a factor of excessive time. If you're doing something you don't like, even for 1 hour a day, it'll burn you out.
Yeah.
And that's so well said. So I want to end quickly with a fun question. What do you believe in that most other people disagree with?
That India can create world-class global companies, and I truly feel this is going to happen more and more.
Thanks a lot. We'll take one question from the audience, please.
So, Piyush, this is more for you. It's very rare to see a CHRO and a CEO together in one human form. Okay, that's quite a rare thing to have.
By the way, all the good CHROs can still apply. I'm not going to do this forever. So, so it seemed like abhi Lenskart mein to koi job.
So, while the business or the CEO perspective would be to ensure and let go the people, we want profitability, we want productivity, we want performance as early as possible. However, the HR side would be like, issue a PIP, give him some time, let's invest in coaching. So when you wear both the hats, isn't it not very difficult? And which hat you have to wear when becomes very difficult. So what's how you decide for yourself?
Excellent question. I think, to be honest, this is like everything I've heard before. I think it's easy to sit outside and judge and put tags to organizations. I think the role of the HR head is to ensure what that is best for the organization and for the larger ecosystem. But if you approach it from the perspective of, we want to achieve this for this organization, as part of achieving this, this is what we need to do today, and what is the right decision, then these rules, then these things become easy. The problem is we put this into policies, and it's almost like when you want to do great service, policy is the opposite of great service. So yeah, I do think that some of that is quite judgmental. I do think a lot of, we need to drop baggages and start learning and growing, and eventually take the hat of saying what will create the organization that we want to achieve the purpose. Then I think these things will become easier. Versus saying ki my job is to protect and this guy's job is to kill. It's not.
Thank you so much, Piyush, for making time. Thank you so much.